Hi running pals, I'm Alice and this is my first running related video. I've been watching vlogs literally since the early days in like 2009, but I haven't had much to talk about. But this year I've got loads of amazing races coming up, so I kind of wanted to document that mostly for myself because I don't take a lot of pictures when I'm away, but also maybe to help other people because I'll be doing some fun topics hopefully. So yeah, I hope some people can get something out of this. My first video I'm going to be talking about is about running in London. I've lived in London for about 3 years. I really love it. It's a great place to be a runner. You've got the London Marathon, loads of running clubs, social and serious, and just amazing routes that I'll talk you through in this video. So I hope you enjoy, I hope you get something out of it. So the first place I'd like to talk about is Greenwich Park. So although in London we live in a city, it doesn't mean that it's flat. If you go as far as Zone 2, you'll literally find hundreds of hills. If you've run the London Marathon before, you'll probably have walked up the main road before, unless you've come from Blackheath. I love Greenwich Park. There's a mixture of really flat sections that you can run along. There's also hills of various gradients depending on how intense you want to go. I like to do this one if I'm really challenging myself. The main hill is open to cyclists, but the others aren't as far as I know, so you won't be competing with them on the paths. But generally there's so many different ways you can go, it's really a great place. If you can't get to Greenwich, Primrose Hill in the west of London is a good, nice hill to run up to, so yeah, don't shy away from hills in London, you can definitely find some. So if you're training for a marathon or any race, you may well be doing some speed work. Intervals, sprints, fartlek, all of those are definitely possible in London and are helped by the great number of athletic tracks around. Some of my favourites are Mile End, Parliament Hill as well in the northwest. There are tracks in Southwark Park and Battersea Park, and this is just a small selection. I'll put a link in the description box which will give you some others. These places normally cost £2 to £4 for entry, but they often have facilities in like toilets and lockers. They're a really great place to get your speed work in. I would definitely recommend them. If not, just find a local park near you. Lots of them have big enough flat stretches that you can measure out roughly 800 metres or 400 metres to replicate a track. So obviously a great feature of London is the River Thames. The river in Greater London stretches all the way from Hampton Court Palace in the west to Erith, if I'm pronouncing that right, in the east. There's so many great routes that I love to do. One of my favourites, which I'm showing here, is a stretch which passes through Hyde and Canal Water. I do this quite a lot from Greenwich to Tower Bridge. Often I'll cross over Tower Bridge and then run back along the North Bank to Canary Wharf, which gives you around 11 to 12 miles if you follow all the twists and turns of the path. I really love this section of path near Canal Water. There's so many cool features like this community farm with really cool statues, cobble streets with really old pubs, and obviously amazing views of the river and Tower Bridge. I really love the canal routes in London too. If you're trying to get some miles in, I would definitely recommend checking out the canals. You can go from central west along Regent's Canal all the way to the east. It's quite a long route. You've got Regent's Canal, then you've got Hertford Union Canal and Limehouse Cut. Those three canals join up more or less, so they can take you through some really cool areas. I would advise, if you're like a young girl, to go there in the daytime. Not all of it by any means, but there are certain stretches that I would say maybe go with the group, but no more than other areas of London. Just a quick tip that sometimes the canal can be a little bit secluded. So I have loads of other great places to run that I wanted to mention but I couldn't manage to film in. The first is Richmond Park. I really love Richmond Park. If I ever win the lottery, I'll probably buy a house in Richmond. It's really, really beautiful, very bougie. Richmond Park itself is really nice. It's a great place to run. It's a little bit more off-road in terms of the paths, and while it's not as rough as trail running, it's definitely a good middle ground if you want to dip your toes in a bit in terms of off-road running. If you're lucky, you could see a deer, or even apparently Taylor Swift sometimes goes there, so you never know. There's Hyde Park around the Serpentine, which is a great route on a bright day. This is probably one for a shorter route if you don't like crowds, as it's very near to Buckingham Palace, which gets quite busy with tourists. But I would definitely recommend it. Also, the route from the O2 in Greenwich and out eastwards is also really great. That's along the river too. It takes you past the Thames barrier, and if you go far enough, to a really fun park called Gallion's Hill, which has a cool spirally hill and quite a nice view at the top. So yeah, that's just a small selection of some of my favourite running routes in London. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It obviously it's my first one, so it may not be the best edited or the best talked, but hopefully you've enjoyed some of the clips throughout and it's given you some ideas. I will put up some new videos in the coming weeks. I'm going to talk about how I got into Boston, things like that, maybe some of my kit, how I train. So I hope you can stick around. Thank you. When running with the